Hello everyone, it is Liam, the Death Doom Metalhead, and today is a death metal collection update. I've got vinyl, CD, tape, all the heavy shit. So you've got black and death metal, doom death, you know, but it's all death metal at its core. And yeah, we'll just go straight into it. This is a brand new EP for 2023. The band actually reached out to me to show it on here, and I'm amazed they did, because this does not need any promotion from idiots like me. This is a stellar EP. This band's from Phoenix, Arizona. This is their debut EP. And this is Eternal with Faceless Evil. And this is a self-release from the band. And yeah, I'm not even going to exaggerate, this truly is right up there at the moment with my favourite releases of 2023. This is such an easy EP to get into. It's so heavy, and it just channels all the early death, like Scream Bloody Gore, Leprosy era of that band, and you've got early Obituary, Slavery Rock vibes. It has that early kind of 90s Tampa sound, but they don't. It doesn't sound like they're ripping it off like, you know, other bands do, where they just carbon copy of, say, Death, because that is probably the strongest comparison I can give it. It sounds like very early Death, but it's like, I know it's been done a million times, but when you get songs that are so well written like they are on this EP, it's nice to hear like new music. It's like if Death reformed and did a new album that sounded like their early work. Essentially, is what that is. You know, the vocals are great. Guitar work is phenomenal. You've got some proper good leads on there. It starts off with a piano piece written by the young lady there, who's the guitarist in the band, and it completely sets the tone, because you don't know what you're going to get, and then it just comes in with 4 really quality, very memorable death metal tracks. You've got good cookie choruses, there's some wicked solos, there's big chunky breakdown riffs. They borrow from modern elements of death metal, but like pinches of it, so it's not like they're a carbon copy of like the 90s death metal riffs. They are, you can tell they've listened to other bands of other genres of that style and kind of compacted it into this sound. But it's also the way it's recorded as well. It has that old school vibe to it, and it's just fucking, I can't exaggerate how good this actually is. I mean, it really surprised me, and it's only like 20 minutes long, if that, and it's just fucking phenomenal. And I believe, I mean, I could be wrong, but I swear Dawnbreed Records, or a label like that out in Holland way, or Germany, I can't remember which label it is, are pressing it here for Europe. So keep your eyes open for it, because I imagine this will sell very fast, and you'll hear about it from a lot more people than me. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal, wicked EP. So that's a really good start to this video if you want to check that out. So yeah, Eternal. Right, next is probably the best Chilean death metal album I heard last year, and for a long time, and this album still gets regular spins from me. I'm so happy I have it on vinyl, and that is Suppression with the album The Sorrow of Soul Through Flesh. This came out through Dark Descent Records and Unspeakable Acts Records last year in 2022. Now, this is a band from Chile, formed in 2012. They did a demo in 2012, and then they did nothing until 2019. And this is their full length for 2022. So I think there's an EP in 2019 that you can find. But this is just phenomenal. I mean, you've got Paolo Guardi artwork, and there'll be a few of these in this video from him. So that's already a winner for me. Like, if you've got that kind of artist doing your artwork, I already know I'm going to enjoy it. And it's just fucking phenomenal. You've got fretless bass work on here. It's got this phenomenal drum sound. It's so organic, and it just goes, just absolutely goes. Vocals are kind of in the ballpark of Obituary style almost, and that kind of early 90s death metal style where it's kind of shouted with like a reverb growl on top of it. It's just brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Loads of energy. It's just black wax, so I won't bother showing you that. But it does come with an inlay, if I can get it out, which looks like this. So you got a picture of the lads there as well, and then lyrics there. But yeah, it's just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It's if you want death metal done big boy style, where it's like really well written, it's all over the shop, you know, pace, speed, you know, skill, you know, the whole works. I can't recommend this enough. So yeah, if you've never checked this out, I'll obviously leave the link to everything I'm doing below in a link. But yeah, Suppression, wicked album. Now, some people might have heard of this, some people might not, but I was aware of this project purely because of the other projects said musicians are involved in. And this came out in 2022. This was an EP, and this is Crucifier with Say Your Prayers. Now this is through Iron Bonehead Records. This is on vinyl as well as CD. So this is quite a cool project. So if you're a fan of Grand Bilal's Key, you'll know the drummer, I think it's Gaz Grant, when he was in the band. He was in the band for most of all their albums for the last how many years. He is also a songwriter, and he also has this death metal project, as well as he did a death doom project last year called Hearse. If you saw that on my channel, that was fantastic, still love that. And this isn't really that different. The only difference is the speed. So Hearse was a death doom album which was very slow. You obviously know what Grand Bilal's Key sounds like with the black metal. This is still the same sort of formula, sounding the same recording wise, gear wise, vocal style wise, but it has that really fast paced old school death metal style. So it's only an EP, so it's quite short, but it's just brilliant. I mean, it is, like I said, those other projects, like if you like Grand Bilal's Key, you already like this, and if you like that Hearse album that came out last year, you'll like this. You know, they've done a few albums. I mean, the band's been formed since 1990, along with other side projects that he was in. And it's just brilliant. This is, I don't know how many there is prior to this. There's a shitload, but it's just brilliant. I mean, I know there's a compilation you can get from this that I need to pick up. But I love the artwork as well, that whole evil religious vibe to it. It's so cool. So yeah, I'll leave a link below. You can check that out, because if you like old school autopsy, that kind of thing, where it's just dirty, horrible, this is already well in there with that. So Crucifier, that was brilliant. That was right. Moving over to the UK now. Some London boys that put out an album last year that was one I meant to pick up last year, and I never got around to doing it, and now I have it, and it's just fucking amazing. And that is a new one from Vacuous with Dreams of Tesoria. This came out through Misako Unoho Records, and is death metal in a very cavernous, very sludgy, heavy way, where it's very thick, it drags out the evilness, and it's just brutal. This band have progressed so much. I've seen these guys live as well, and this sounds totally different to what I remember them being like live. They had a lot of energy, and they've now channeled it into this really sludgy, evil sounding album, and the EP was brilliant, and I've got the live tape up there somewhere that they put out a few, if not last year, I think it was. But this is just fucking brutal, really heavy, really thick. They have the drummer from Hellripper, who's their live drummer at Hellripper. He plays in this band. There they are there. You got Ezra there, who does what's the magazine called? I can't remember, but he does a really cool magazine. And then this chap here, I forget his name, but he also was in a band, I swear it's called Thundering Hooves, something like that, which is kind of like a sludgy doom band. Really cool shit. So yeah, wicked album. I mean, I was really impressed with this. I've actually not listened to this until this month. I was saving myself until I picked it up, because I didn't want to ruin the surprise of when I put it on for the first time. So if I can do that, I'm well chuffed. You know, when you put it on the table and it comes out with these speakers for the first time, you're not really sure what you're going to get, because you know you're going to like it, because you know what the band's like. Unless they put out like a pop album, but you know, looking at this, that ain't going to happen, is it? So yeah, Vacuous, Dreams of Tesoria, wicked album that is. Right, sticking in the UK. You can stick. Well, I say the UK. These blokes probably don't want to be in the UK, because they are Scotland's Rend and Asunder. This is their debut full-length, Existence to Entrails. This was a self-release, I believe, on tape and CD. Tape looks like that. These guys are based out of Glasgow, formed in 2015, and this is their debut from last year in 2022. And this is fucking brutal, like really big bollock heavy death metal. It's really fucking thick, brutal. It's just nasty, just really nasty. And what do you expect from the Scots? You know, angry load of lads, but they're actually really lovely people. Look at that. Wicked looking at. I mean, they're really fucking good. This is a really good band, and if you watch them on YouTube live, they've put on a really stellar show. In no fucking about. It's brutal, it's heavy, it just goes, and it's just really nasty sounding death metal, and it's really done professionally, so I won't be surprised if these guys get onto bigger, better things as they progress through their musical career. Because looking at this, you're not really sure if it's going to be kind of lo-fi, going to be very budget. It's none of that. It is proper big boy death metal. It's really good. So I know a lot of people already know about this, but if you haven't, go check that out, because it's a wicked release. Right, back to the vinyl. So this is a Brazilian band that I blindly picked up a while ago, based purely on the cover, and you'll see why. And this is the band Anarkhon. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's fucking amazing, isn't it? But this is the album Phantasmagorial Personification of the Death Temple. That was put out through Debbie Multi Records back in 2020. This is the band's 4th album. They formed in 1999. There are the lads there. You know why bands always wear like aviators in photos? I don't know why, because I imagine the room, if they're in a dark room, they can't see fuck all, but there you go. That's just an observation I always make. But look at that artwork there, just taking the detail of that cover. Now this is blackened death metal, done in that Brazilian style, with a lot of Brazilian death metal bands use that kind of thick, chasmic sound, has a lot of ritualistic kind of vibes to it, and it sounds ancient and evil, and that is exactly what they're going for in this album. It's just brutally heavy, thick, nasty, a nice big card inlay there, with lyrics and notes. But it's just brutal. There's only black wax, so I won't bother showing you that because, you know, who cares. But I think it's 180 gram black wax, so it's quite heavy. So yeah, if you're not check this out, I'll leave a link below again so you can check it out. But it is very nasty, thick, satanic-y, vibey kind of death metal. It's just heavy, ritualistic, brutal. What more can I tell you? You already like it if you're watching the videos about this kind of music. It's fantastic. So yeah, an Archon, amazing album. Now, this one I picked up purely because of the, I mean, subgenre is Death Doom, and it's done an album cover-wise by Paolo Girardi. And I'll try and pronounce it as Grimoire De Occulte with Wisdom of the Dead. Now, this was put out through, I can never pronounce the record label, Dunkelkest Records or something, production, something like that. It's down below, so ignore me talking out my arse. But what intrigued me was the album cover, because I didn't realise at first it was a Paolo Girardi artwork. Tape's just a black shell. But you can get this, I think, on CD, vinyl, or tape. There it is there. Not something you normally see from him, but when I read up it was him, it was obvious, because he does a lot of, he's an oil painter. So, band picture in the other side of the J card there. Now this is some German Death Doom with their only full length from 2018, and it's good. It's heavy, it's thick. My only criticism of it is it doesn't really expand on the sound too much, because this was a blind buy really. I didn't get it for much money, but it's just there's something lacking in the progression. The second half of the album is stronger than the first half. I will say that, and the songs kind of pick up pace a bit more, but it kind of sits in that second gear for the good first half of it, and then the latter half of it then really picks up. But it's definitely worth checking out if you can find it, because again, I've become mentally collecting Paolo Girardi artworks for some reason. I don't know why, but it just seems to be happening where I noticed a lot of my pickups have his artwork on it. It might be coincidence, but I don't think it is. I think my brain's naturally telling me to go towards those bands. So go check this out. It is good, don't get me wrong. It lacked depth. That was my only criticism of it. So yeah, but still wicked release. So yeah, Grimoire De Occulte. Right. So now this is a band from a country I don't own anything from until now, and I didn't even know they were from this part of the world until I read up on it to do this video. The band is called Kaal Akuma, and this is from the same label as the previous album I mentioned, and this is called In the Mouth of Madness. Now this band is actually based out of Bangladesh. It is a death metal outfit. I think they're a 3-piece that formed in 2019, and this is their debut from 2021. And this, if you're a fan of Dead, what are they called? It's back there. I can't even remember now. Dead Congregation, that's the one. There's so many bands with dead in the word. You'll love this. This is so fucking heavy. It's brutal, absolutely brutal. If you like kind of gateways more with Angel, if you like what I mentioned, Dead Congregation, you know, there's tons of death metal bands they sound like, but because it's from Bangladesh, I was expecting, because you get that really popular band from India at the moment, it sounds like Indian, like kind of pop culture and that kind of thing, but with metal on top, and I was kind of expecting to be something cheesy in it. There's none of that whatsoever. This is brutal. heavy. If you're like, you know, that band Asunder from Russia, they have that vibe where you're not really sure what you're going to get, and then you listen to it and you think, oh, okay, it just sounds like those really nasty death metal bands, but really good. And these guys are exactly the same. You know, they're not reinventing anything whatsoever. It's just natural, nasty, old school death metal, and this isn't very expensive. You can find this quite cheap. I know there's a vinyl again and a tape edition of this, I believe, if you go looking for it. I just happened to get this for fuck all on CD from a mate of mine. So this is brilliant, well worth your time. Proper big boy death metal. There's only 5 tracks. I think it comes in just over half an hour. So yeah, Kaal Akuma, go check it out. I never heard of them prior to getting this, and it's amazing. Right, back to the vinyl. This is another one that I was waiting to get, and I had to wait till the new year to pick it up, but you know, it was inevitable I was going to pick it up. And that is Innumerable Forms with Philosophical Collapse. This came out through Profound Law in 2022 and is a death doom band out of Boston, Massachusetts. Formed in 2007 as Justin Torre's solo project, but he's got other musicians involved as the albums have gone on. This is the second full length, I believe. Yeah, from last year. I have the first one and it was amazing and I loved it. But this one is a bit of a step up in production, and the songs are a bit more to the point, a bit more angrier. And yeah, I mean they're the same almost. You can have them back to back and you won't notice much difference. The only thing with this one is it's a bit more to the point, a bit more angrier. And it's just fucking awesome. I mean, the bloke is a very talented musician. He plays in so many different styles of metal. But, you know, he can bring the heaviness in this. This is a wicked, wicked album. Again, black wax, so nothing fancy. Inlay is the sleeve with the vinyl in there. But he's got a band around it, so you've got Justin who does vocals on this. But I know he does the drums normally, but he's got other people doing it. Got Doug Chow on bass. But yeah, it's just brilliant. Absolutely wicked, wicked album. What was it saying? His own project for a number of years. I mean, this guy's got from. Oh, that's right. So the musicians on this one is some people from Power Trip, Genocide Pact, and a few others. I don't know what they were though. So you know, a stellar cast on this album, and it's just fucking brilliant. Proper big boy death doom. We'll call it that. It's just heavy, brutal. You know, and I love it. You know, not a bad album from these guys so far. So yeah, Numeral Forms, wicked release. Now, going to Wales for this one again. I left a long time to pick up, and then I finally picked it up off eBay, not realising it was from the band itself anyway, because I looked at the merch on there and I was like, oh, it's very particular to that guy who's selling it. I thought it must be him. Picked it up and it was. And that is Crip Rock with their latest An Ancient Summoning. This came out last year through, I think it's Brutal Mind Productions. This is brilliant. So this is a band formed out of Wales. This is their debut full length for 2022. Tom Hughes is the guy I know. I spoke to Tom quite a bit. He's in loads of cool projects. One being Maimed, a black metal project, but I can never pronounce the name of it. But that's top secret. And there's a few other things he's done. He's quite prolific, and he admitted it. Like he always is writing new music. And this is a massive step up from the call it EP demo that they did a few years ago. So different. It's massive on the production. It sounds absolutely huge, and they have a proper drummer on this one. It's a real drummer. I think the other one might have been programmed, but I could be wrong. But this, you can certainly tell the difference. Bloke on here goes, he smokes it, absolutely smokes it. It's brutal death metal. There's slam elements in there, but I like this because it's not just purely that dun 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 dun, like the rip-off of League of Invacity song by Suffocation. You know, what they've done here is they've put elements of that in there with the slam, but they're not choking people to death with the same fucking riff every 5 minutes and calling it slam. You know, it's a bit more to it. It's more, in my eyes, a proper brutal death metal album. I mean, it goes. It really does go. It doesn't sit at one pace. It's fucking phenomenal. You've got what's his face, Kyle doing all the vocals, and he sounds brilliant on this. It really does, and I was so impressed by it. And the colour scheme of the album, the artwork, all brilliant. It has a theme to it where I think it's based off some bloke who committed suicide who's part of some weird satanic cult or something like that, by memory. But oh, it's just brilliant. But what was really, really cool was not only that, but he also sent me the Frozen Screams imprint tape edition included in it. because he's such a nice bloke. Tom really is a nice bloke. So I have this yellow cassette version of it as well. I'm really happy with that because my OCD couldn't handle the fact I had the 2 tapes up there, and I couldn't justify the postage at the time to pick up the tape because I think this came out like near towards Christmas time and I just couldn't do it. But I don't care now because I've got it and I've been listening to this a lot in the car. I've been blasting the shit out of this. So yeah, well worth picking up if you haven't. It is slammy death metal, but it's not the kind of slam that I just cannot stand. This is more of essentially a death metal album with slam elements thrown in there, but they're very subtle. And it's just fucking brutal. So yeah, go check out some Crip Rock. That is a really good album. Really impressed with that. Now, go back to the vinyl in Italy. And this is the last of the Paolo Guardi artwork covers that I seem to have been picking up without realising. And this one is by Italian band Deathcrush. Look at that cover. Look at that. You know, I again got paid nothing for this. Another eBay buy. And look at that cover there with all the religious people and this weird demonic army coming after them. And you've got like a pope with a skewer through his head and the priest being a hand there. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. So this is a brutal blackened death metal. It is a really good death metal album, but kind of with a pinch of... It says it's blackened death metal, but I don't really hear the blackened part of it. Maybe in the vocal style a little bit. But it's just really heavy death metal to me, with a kind of like an evil satanic vibe to it. And it's the production on this is massive. This is from Time to Kill Records, who did the Fulci album, so you're in good stead there already if you want to check this out. And you know, you can get this on eBay for not a lot of money. So if you go on eBay now, there is a British seller selling these for fuck all, and I mean that. If you can find it. It might be gone by now, I don't know, but I lapped this up. So inlay here with lyrics and thank yous. And it's just brilliant, black wax, so I won't get there, I won't show you that, but no fancy vinyl on this one actually, I don't think. Not one of them was fancy. So yeah, really cool album, really heavy. It's chunky, it's thick, it sounds brutal, drums sound massive, everything is brilliant. So, you know, I won't say this is negative in anything really, this is spot on, you know, it hits the spot nicely. So yeah, Deathcrush with, what's it called? Under the Serpent's Reign. Wicked album. Right, 2 more and then I'll leave you alone. So this is an American death metal band. I managed to pick this up from my friend Andreas, who plays in Vacuous and All Rights. He was doing a little sale of cassettes and he sold me a few for a wicked price. And one of them was this album from Torture Rack, which is Malefic Humiliation. Put out through Extremely Rotten Productions back in 2018, and that was their second full length at the time. And it's brilliant. So this band is based out of Portland, formed in 2012, and yeah, no nonsense, brutal death metal. Tape looks like that. That's yellow shell. And it's just fucking awesome. Really thick, heavy, fast, it's chuggy, it's just brutal, you know. What more do you want really? J card looks like that with the boys there. Brutal. And then you've got your lyrics in there. Again, it's on Extremely Rotten Productions, so, you know, 9 times out of 10, tell me a bad release they've put out that you don't like. Because there isn't many. You know, I've got quite a few Extremely Rotten Production tapes, and they're all solid, all of them. And this one's no different. Really cool release. So yeah, Torture Rack. Go grab that if you can find it, if you already haven't. And lastly, on the vinyl, this was another one that I think Ken showed ages ago from Death Metal Crypt. I know Mark has shown it. And I think it was because of Mark I didn't grab it originally, because he picked it up from the distro that I wanted it from and it vanished. So fuck you, Mark. I'm only joking. But this is the vinyl version. So this is Rexel with I can't even pronounce it. If I try and read it here, Erebus Virtuous Alpha. This was put out through FDA Records. 2021. This is their debut full length. This is a German 2-piece. This is brilliant, absolutely fantastic, riffy, memorable death metal. It's got that, again, I use this as an example a lot, but it does remind me a lot of that kind of Gateways Morbid Angel sound, where it's got that thick, tremolo, chugged riff, kind of like, it's like a marching tank sound, and then you got that little layers of it underneath. It gets a bit progressive in elements of it, but it's just fantastic. Really, really cool album, and it's got loads of good music on it. You've got a fair few tracks on there. What was it, 13 tracks? But it's brilliant. Just slays, absolutely slays. Nice thick card J inlay there with the lads there. And then you got your lyrics there. And but yeah, fantastic album. I think again this is only black wax. Right, is it black wax? Yeah. So I won't bother showing you that, because if you haven't seen a black vinyl, where have you been? So yeah, Rexel, wicked album. Again, the cover doesn't really give much away. You think it's quite colourful, but you got this kind of like hell and heaven there pulling someone's eye open. Because you can flip it around and there are devils there, angels there. So yeah, amazing album. So yeah, Rexel, love that. So yeah, if you're stuck around to the end, thank you very, very much for watching this video. If you liked it that much, please consider liking it to let YouTube know I'm alright. And if you're new to the channel, I'll leave content all around my fat head for you guys to check out. Look forward to speaking to you guys in the comment section. Cheers.